What's up everyone, this is Yeeflex and welcome back to another behind the scenes video. So for this video we're going to be going over my collab with Velo, which is Stories. So first off, I just want to make sure that you guys know that this project is not the final version of the song. This version is actually, I want to say maybe 2 or 3 versions back from the actual final version. I actually did have the final version of the song, but I lost that when my first tower crashed, and then I tried to see if I transferred the file over beforehand, but I did not. And then when I couldn't find that file after 3 hours of searching on my external drive, I asked Velo and he said he also lost his master file for the song a while back when his computer crashed. So this is the best file that I could find that was the most complete version of the song. So we'll just use the songs as a reference for pretty much how the whole song was structured, because there's certain sounds that are missing in certain media files and synthesizers, but overall the gist of the song and how it's structured is pretty much here. So just bear with me as I go through this version of the file for Stories. So for this video, like the previous behind the scenes videos, I'll be going into how Story was made and why Stories was made. I'll go into some technical things and the structure of the song, but with the media files and synths missing, I'll try my best to kind of give as best of a detailed description as possible. And then lastly, I'll just talk about how the song ended up being released on the record label Diversity Records, or the promo channel Diversity Music. So first off, let's go into why the song was made. So basically, shortly after I released the Diversity EP, I was listening to some other artists on Argo Fox, and I think shortly after the Diversity EP released, Velo released his song. I believe it's called Starry Nights, and it was like this progressive, plucky house song. If the name's wrong, I will make sure I fix that in the video or in the comment section of this video. But basically, I listened to that song and I really liked his style. And then shortly after that, I did a Argo Fox kind of mixtape with a bunch of like different songs from Argo Fox that I liked. And 2 of the songs were from Velo that I liked. I can't remember exactly which songs they were, but I remember they were 2 songs I liked, and I liked the style and his mix downs from mixing those songs. So shortly after that, I reached out to him via Discord, and I said to him, hey man, I really like your music, I like your style. What kind of music making software do you use, or a DAW, a digital audio workstation? And how did you make the song Starry Nights? And then we started talking a little bit, and then I said to him, hey, would you be interested in collaborating on a song with me to where we can try and make a song similar to Starry Nights? He said yes, and I was pretty happy, and we started the project. And as you guys know, we made nothing like Starry Nights, in which the song Stories sounds nothing like Starry Nights at all. Starry Nights, I think, is like a 128 or at least 120 BPM song, and Stories is a 100 BPM song that sounds like a cyberpunk adventure. So I mean, it's pretty interesting how the overall outcome of the song came out. And I know in my last video, to go off on a little tangent, I said that I wouldn't make a song under the 105 BPM. When I recently reopened the Stories project, I did not realize that the song was in 100 BPM. So that's my mistake. I actually made a song that was in a lower BPM range than Sunrise. So props to me, but at the same time, I totally forgot I made a song in 100 BPM. So that's my fault there. And basically, going back to the story, we started this project, and this project took a little while. I want to say this project took at least 3 to 4 months, because as you can see from just this section of the project file, there are a lot of things in this project file that Velo added, like different basses, different drum percussion. It's in my opinion, it's a little bit unorganized, because usually when I work on projects, it's a little more organized, but Velo actually had the master file. So basically, it was mostly his structuring, and this is kind of how he structured the song. So I just kind of added my parts onto it. So yeah, you can see it's like 134 different channels in the complete song. And for one of my songs, I mostly get about 50 or 60 channels, so this is pretty much like a double of what I normally do. But for the final outcome of the song, it worked really well, so I can't complain there. So now we'll go into just the breakdown of the song. So I'll try and go piece by piece, but I'll try the best that I can do. So as you can hear, the intro starts. So there, basically, there's my effects, and I think Velo has some effects, and it just basically brings it up into the song. And then there's also my choir I added for atmosphere, so that kind of gives it that kind of eerie, kind of cyberpunk, steampunk sound in the beginning of stories, like woo. And then there's like I think the effects as well, and then the samples here. I'm not sure if you can hear it, because it might not be a file I still have like in my external drive, but I think that's kind of like the winding sound in the beginning. Yeah, you hear some of the samples, kind of like the reverse. Yeah, so basically that's in the sample section. So I think it's just kind of some of his audio samples kind of being reversed, and then I guess use a Varian pack sample for a lot of the atmospheric stuff. Bear with me as I kind of go through this project. Haven't been through this project in a while, so I know the vocal chops come in around here, and I think that's somewhere up here, I believe. So in maybe the synth section. Oh no, so these are the intro kind of pluck synths. So this is like, so initially this is kind of the pluck sound I thought the overall song would kind of drive on, which is kind of like Starry Nights, as he said. It's his starry pluck. But he also added the vocal chops, and I think the vocal chops are talking about like stories and stuff like that. So basically that's the intro, as you guys know. So that's in this hook section, I believe, is the vocals. And I guess that comes from Milk Vocal Pack, the artist Milk. I didn't even know that was the vocal pack it came from, but we put it through a vocoder, or maybe he did, and then he had a couple things, a couple plugins down, and then that's the EQ and the effect rack. He had quite a bit on here in terms of reverb, a glue compressor, another compressor, actually like 3 compressors, some delay. And yeah, this is basically the hook, is the main overdriving sound for the song, because basically the song is called Stories. I came up with the idea just from hearing the Stories sample so many times while making the song. I just said to him, I feel like that's like a sign that this song should just be called Stories, because it's saying it's being said over and over and over again in the song, like it just kind of makes sense that that would be the name of the song. So it sounds like he kind of chopped it a little bit down here. As you can see, he chopped the vocal a little bit, like stories, oh, so many stories, kind of just chopping it up as a typical vocal chop with a phrase. So now that's the intro part with the hook, and then it goes into the Starry Plucks. And that sound, that dun dun dun, is actually kind of like a delayed guitar as well. I think there's another instrument as well, driving the lead melody. But this is the bass sound. I think he used Serum to make this bass sound, as well as Silent. But yeah, I know, because basically, as you'll see later in the break, the Serum sound isn't there, but that's how he made that kind of halftime kind of hip-hop partish bass breakdown, I guess you want to call it. I don't exactly know what you call that part of the song, but that's what I call it. So the percussion itself is pretty simple, has the kick going, has a trigger going, and then it's just like a small clap, I believe, just kind of playing. Yeah. But he layered the clap, but it's not like a super strong clap, it's almost like a clicking clap. As you can tell, it's not super overpowering on this clap sound, but he layered it quite a bit. Has some hats and shakers, as I'll show here, to kind of give it to the drum groove. Not your traditional, I guess, percussion, like rock style hi-hat, cymbal. That's a lot of what I use. He used the more, I guess, Asian influenced shakers, from what it seems from the pack he got it from. Have the effects going. And then there's the synth. So that's like the main synth sound, as well as the instruments, which again is kind of that reverb-ish guitar just kind of playing in the background. Now let's see if I can find this part. Is it here? So basically the part where you hear many stories. So many stories. I remember that I remember here that I messed around with this part a little bit, but I think we pretty much kept it the same. I remember, yeah, I tried vocal chopping it a little bit, but then it didn't work, so I kind of just left it with Velo's hook vocals playing throughout. So basically the next part of this kind of break into the second drop, this is the lead I added on my end. It's basically this really simple massive lead. I know he put a lot of processing on it, but it's just basically I used my homemade soft bass number 2 sound, and I just kind of made a lead. I know in the song Stories itself, it sounds very different because it has a lot of effects on it. But basically, this is the lead, kind of like build lead sound that he used into like the second drop. Basically, a simple massive preset from me. And then at the time I was making a meme song, I guess, or the idea of a meme song, and that's kind of what Stories also stemmed from, because I think I sent Velo the MIDI first just to get an idea going, and it was like this meme song I was trying to make, but it ended up being Stories. So meme song turned Stories, turned big hit, so hey, can't complain there. But that is the lead sound that I added to this song. And then I have my riser down here, and then I have my effects going. So then it goes into the next drop pretty much. Yeah, so basically Velo vocal chopped this section, so as you can tell, like the vocals are really kind of glitchy, vocal choppy-ish. So basically he did a lot of that, just a lot of vocal chopping. And I think somewhere in one of these sections, I think in the final file, I actually panned certain parts of when they say Stories to the right and the left ear. I think, as I said before, this is like maybe 2 or 3 file versions before the final version, so I didn't have a chance to do that yet. I think there was a different audio sample, but I don't exactly remember if it was part of like the first drop or this second drop where I did the panning for that. So that I think a lot of that is in the synth section. I think there's a lot going on in the synth section. Yeah, so Velo layered a lot of different sounds together to just kind of get the final version of the sounds that you hear in Stories, just for the overlay in the drops as well. So that is a lot of the instruments he had going. I believe the instrument section, he still had that droning in the back. Alright, so then in this part I also have my lead part that I wrote in the drop 1.2. This is like for me in this song there's like 3 different drops, maybe even 4. Like the break section to me is kind of like a drop in itself, but there's the intro, there's that first kind of drop, then it builds a little bit, then there's like the second drop, and within the second drop there's a section where this lead plays, and then after that it hits the bridge and break. So I actually wrote the lead for this section. I don't really remember. I think this actually was the lead for the meme song I was trying to make in the past, or the idea I had for it. And then like we were able to augment the MIDI and make it fit for this song. And then I know Velo added some post-processing later. Yeah, he had some other processors and auto pan and EQ thrown on it, a couple EQs actually. So in his version, or the final version of the song, it sounds different, but on my end I think it was just the homemade soft bass 2 again. Yeah, I just used the same synth, and then that was the lead for this drop 1.2 part, as you hear now as I solo it. And the reason why it kind of dips out like that's the side chain being an effect. So he has some sidechain running up here as well, triggering it to kind of dip out when the kick comes in. So then that's basically what I added to this section. But he also has his lead, I think, on top that kind of has a dun 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 dun. So that might be in the synth section here. Yeah, let me see if I can find that synth sound. Sorry if I don't exactly know where everything is in this song. It's a little different for me. Okay, drums. Okay, there it is. So this is his MIDI. I believe he created in Silent. He froze it and this one actually stuck, so all the post-processing and stuff is actually still, you're still able to hear it when opening the project. So this is his lead sound. I think he augmented my MIDI to kind of write this sound, and I don't know what exact preset he used in Silent, but this is what it sounds like. Almost like a delayed kind of reverb-ish distorted lead sound, and it fits really nicely, you know, because the overall atmosphere of the song is pretty good with the little kind of mini phrases here, his lead, and then just the atmosphere of overall the instruments and the plucks and stuff in that sound. So in this section, coming into the bridge, I believe. Alright, let me see if I can find the vocal chop for this part. Is it here? No, that's one of them, but is it here? No. Okay, so it's in the hook part. So basically, this part, I actually manually tuned this part, so it's like, oh wow, the big boss. Actually, I tuned that by ear myself. In the beginning, it was kind of like it didn't tune down, and like it didn't sound like that effect to where it would bridge. It just was like all in the same pitch, and to me, I thought that sounded a little too bland and it didn't transition very well, so I split up this audio section and I actually pitched the same sound down, and I think I might have actually even reversed the sample back then. So it's a really nice touch, I think, to the song, because the transition would have been a little bit strange. I'll like switch it back now just so you guys can hear what it would sound like. So many stories. Yeah, it just sounds a little weird, so when you have it pitched down, it just sounds a little better. I don't know, to me that sounded a lot better, so to me it transitions a lot better in that way. So I know I spent some time trying to vocal chop that and just manually tune it down. I'd done that for a couple songs in my past when I first started with some vocal chopping, because I really like vocal chops in songs. So that's definitely one of the things I learned from back then that I applied into this song. And then the samples here, so basically in the original thing, I think it might be this sample. Let me see if it's the sample. It's like the ticking clock sound. Yeah, the ticking clock sound as well as this sound. It kind of cut out for a little bit, and I actually extended it. I know for sure the ticking clock sound I extended for sure. Let me see if I can find that sound as well. I believe it might be in the effects. Or the... the garage here. Yeah, so basically he had the ticking clock sound start just in the build too. But basically I wanted some cohesion in the song and kind of with the sound, so I actually just started it from the beginning of the bridge into the build. So as you can hear with the garage, it just kind of click click click, gives a break, and then click click click. So basically before it was like if I were to delete this, so I will give you guys an example of what it would sound like basically without it. Sorry, I had to plug my computer in, battery was dying. So basically, as you could tell there, like there wasn't much going on, but with the ticking sound, as you can hear, like there's a little bit more going on. So basically this part in the build now, as you can see, the transition's a little bit better. This part's missing the really cool serum bass, and that was probably my favorite part of the song, is this part with that really low droning serum bass. Really like those bass sounds as well. Really cool sound. The sound I have myself included in this part is the choir. Gives it kind of that atmosphere. And I know in this section I also panned a lot of the vocals that you hear, like the vocal chops. I know I panned a lot of those for this section as well. Yeah, as you can see there's like the hard panning, so it goes from left to right and then left to right, so it kind of gives that an effect of yeah, it gives it that kind of cool effect from left to right. That's something I also learned working with vocals, I think in Valaxima a long time ago. So I did that, and then overall, like in the sound, you can hear it goes from left to right, because before it was just like I think on one side, and it sounded kind of weird. And then basically it plays on, and then it builds up into the next drop, and we'll move on into the next drop here. So basically I changed up the percussion in this part. I think the kick, I wrote it in more of a kind of dubsteppy-ish type pattern, where you just hear that boom, 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 boom. Like this is a drum pattern I use often. I use this in Airwalk. I use this when I halftime music as well. So that's the kick pattern. So if you layer it with so the kick hits on like the 1, and then like kind of the 1 and the 3, and then the off kick a little bit before the 3. So that was the percussion I had, and then I had I I think I might have added my own percussion, but I don't know how much of it was really used in the song. Let's hear it. So it's kind of like my typical fully loaded drums, and I let Velo pretty much pick which sounds he wants to use, which is basically like a hi-hat percussion kind of little bit of a riff there, so a little rhythm. So actually, I think in this section of the song, I actually wrote a different MIDI line that I think was incorporated in this part of the song in the final mix, and that was in the final project. And he basically distorted my, I believe, homemade soft bass number 2 sound with a different lead, I think, to end the song. But that's basically most of Stories. He added a more complicated drums there, but overall that was the structure of the song. Sorry if it's a little confusing to look at, because the song was structured in such a very unique way that even I sometimes forget how it was structured. But basically there was the intro loop, which I actually call the first drop, and then another kind of mini build to, I think, the second drop, but he calls it the drop, and then there was kind of a extended drop part, and then the bridge, and then pretty much like the like break part, and then the build up here to the second drop. So basically the second drop is really similar to the first drop in itself, like the drop 2, I would say. It was different to like, or actually similar to this drop, like a lot of the same sounds play in this part as well. Just the drum percussion that I switched up a little bit to maybe go a little more halftime. So overall, this song was a very unique song. I've never made a song with such a long like first drop and then a very short second drop with a very minimal outro. If there was anything I would change about the song, I would probably change the second drop and make a better outro, because it ends kind of suddenly for how long the intro was and how long the first drop section was, and then the second drop kind of just, you know, stops right there. So it didn't really outro well, or didn't transition to an outro well, but overall, Stories is Stories, and this is how it ended up being. So overall, this is the song. Actually, sorry, to go back into this part of the section, I think I added the guitar sound, or he might have added a guitar sound. Actually, it might have been my guitar sound, but I might have bounced it to audio, and then he might have put some processing effects on it. So that is the lead sound that you hear in the final version, but for right now, this version doesn't have it because the file is not found. So basically, the last thing I'll talk about now is how the song got on the Diversity record label, or on Diversity Music. So basically, Velo was promoted on Diversity Music in the past. I believe his song The Gate was promoted on there, and Diversity remembered Velo, so we tried to submit this song to a couple labels and they were rejected. So that was kind of like the last ditch effort, and personally I didn't think it was a song that would fit on Diversity, but apparently he sent it to Diversity. I guess Diversity remembered him and they liked the song, so they ended up signing the song. But it took a really long time for the song to get released, because we didn't really get the contracts for maybe like 2-3 months after they said that they'll accept the song on Diversity Music. It might have been because they were making the artwork for the song, because shortly after we signed the contracts, then we actually release the song, I think within the next month. So the overall process took a little while, but I was pretty thankful for Velo actually being promoted on Diversity, so we had a better chance of getting onto the label. And for me, like, I found Diversity back in either 2014 or 15, and I was a big fan of the channel at the time. And one of my bucket list things was to release a song or have a song promoted on Diversity Music. For me, that was just a personal goal, and I'd feel like I made it as a producer. And it's kind of surreal looking back at it now that Stories is a song released on that channel and label, because now Diversity Music has 1 million subscribers on YouTube, and I'm kind of partially associated with this song, even though it's a collab. Like, me and Velo, are part of Diversity Music, and we have a staple song there on the record label, and they made custom artwork for us, and I still use the cover art for or the banner art for my SoundCloud page. So overall, it was a very cool experience. I don't know when I'll have another song on Diversity again. Hopefully next time is through promotion, but overall it's just really awesome to have a bucket list thing checked off, and just like a bunch of bucket list things checked off with this song. For me, like, me working with Velo, one of like the top 5 artists I wanted to work on, who was part of the Argofox label, making a kind of electronic song using Starry Nights sounds in it. So that was kind of a check off. And then the bucket list was releasing Stories on Diversity Music. So it was just like overall a great experience. I didn't really know what was going to come of the song. I thought we were going to make a house song. We turned out to make this steampunk, cyberpunk kind of story song, atmospheric journey. So, I mean, why not make a cyberpunk, steampunk journey? So overall, this is the Stories project. Sorry if this song didn't have all the media files and I didn't know where everything was in the project. It's been a little while since I opened the project, so hopefully you guys learned something in this video, as kind of all over the place as it was. But this is Stories in a nutshell, and that is the main part of what this song is and how it was structured. And this is probably one of the few times you'll see a song structured like this in my behind the scenes videos, because some of the other ones that you'll see in the future that I recently opened up are mostly audio files, which are even more complex. So hopefully you guys will understand those behind the scenes videos. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed, hope you guys learned something, and I will stop talking now, and have a good one, everyone. Peace.